What's going on, everybody? We're back. We're live. Late Night Green. What's going on?
Hey.
Todd father in the house.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, brother?
Man, everything's delightful.
Yeah? Delightful?
Yes.
What's delightful about it?
Well, it's another dad.
Here we go!
That ain't delightful.
Well, let's not bring the Cowboys into it
Well,
right now.
we usually don't do that. We say that for the late night show, but we don't have a late night show tonight.
You're starting early.
Well, I just want to make sure you know that I'm paying attention.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So, what kind of feedback did you get on that last show with Rachel? I got some really great feedback.
That was a fabulous interview. People loved it.
Yeah. Now that was really good. And the video today, the short where you're toking with her, came out. So if you guys haven't seen that, get out there and check out that short because the Todd father and 93-year-old Rachel they're partaking together.
Yeah, and who knows where this will go.
Yeah, because you said some crazy shit, so I'm not going to tell everybody about that. But man, you got to screw loose, bro.
Nah, man, I caught some feelings.
Right on. So tonight we have a interview edition, guys. We are going to be bringing you a friend of mine, somebody that I've known for quite some time. Probably the reason that Cough Country even exists through his mentorship and introductions. But tonight's the night where you're going to find out that the cannabis business is not always as glorious as it seems. And there are people who have been in this industry for a long time who maybe just now are getting the glory they're supposed to get for the work that they put in at a time where no one would even accept that as legitimate. And so I'm super excited to introduce to you guys my friend, Jonny B, in the house. What's going on, Jonny B? Welcome to Late Night Green. What's up, brother?
My man.
How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, brother?
It's nice. I'm sitting outside by the fire.
I see
Got a
that.
little bit of delay, so kind of bear with me.
Yeah, we'll go slow. You're out in
yeah.
the middle of the desert, so being in the desert, sometimes the internet might be a little slower. But you told me before the show started that that's not the case, so we'll leave it as we have a little bit of a delay. We'll go slow.
That'll work.
Awesome. Frame yourself up if you could. Yeah. So what we're going to do is, Jonny, I think it's super interesting to be able, as the industry has evolved, and so has the limelight, so to speak, in terms of where it gets directed and where it gets pointed. But I think there's really you are like an OG guy in this industry, and I had the pleasure of meeting you. I think it was. I want to say it was around 2014, 2015, somewhere in that neighborhood. And, you took me under your wing and showed me some stuff. I was able to go to some shows with you, and you kind of led me and introduced me to some folks. And so forever, I'll be grateful for that. But I think there's a story to tell here, and you've got a really good one. And so we're just going to walk you through.
It's been interesting.
It's been an interesting ride. And I think you've got a book in you, bro, before it's all over.
Oh, you
maybe,
definitely have some stories.
Yeah, so
tons of them.
Hopefully we can tell a few of these tonight. So I guess the best way to do it is, take us back to where it all started. Like, at what point did you make some concerted effort to be in the cannabis space?
I've always been into the counterculture smoking scene. I mean, since high school, and I grew up back east in Maine. Grew up on great weed back there too. It was good. And just kind of always, I just remember as a little kid, I'd always be wanting to go check out the smoke shop, and I was too young to get in. So I'd always peep through the windows, and I was just always drawn to it. And, just one day when I was probably, late 20s, early 30s, I accidentally broke a glass one-hitter that I was using, and I put a chip in the top of it, and it just gave me the idea that if I put a few more chips in this thing, that it'll cut the weed much better in a dugout compared to the old flathead ones. So I
Interesting.
so I made some samples and contacted a patent attorney, and that kind of got me started. And I went to Amsterdam. I used to go to Amsterdam before I was in the business. I'd go to the Cannabis Cup every year, and the year that I invented this thing, I actually got a booth and entered as a participant. So that was pretty cool. So we launched it in Amsterdam, and I think that was like 2008 or 9.
So that was
So
the
that's
beginning. That was '08 was the beginning.
That was the Yeah, that was the very beginning of getting into like the quote unquote real cannabis business. And then I just started showing up at these trade shows where they have them 3 or 4 times a year, and all the smoke shops come to check out the new stuff and meet the companies. And I really did well at those shows and met some big distributors, and I've been with them for like 15 years now.
So let me
So
stop
they
you.
carry my products.
Yeah, so let me stop you there, Johnny. So what did the industry look like then? Because it didn't look like what it looks like now. I can say for certain.
It's a million times different back then. It was it was real hippie-ish, more crafts, as opposed to like big corporate commercial manufacturing, and it was really cool back then. But it was different because we had to live. It wasn't legal, so you kind of had to really kind of navigate those waters, and like dealing with banks, and it's been a nightmare. And the whole paraphernalia industry has always been challenged by that.
So there were a lot of barriers back then, and sounds like a lot of footwork. The internet wasn't popping, right? So how did you guys communicate? How did you get together?
It was just at these trade shows you'd meet the big distributors, and we had websites and stuff like that back then, but it was definitely different. Now it's a lot harder because it costs so much more money to get in these shows, to develop products, because it's a legit industry, and you're competing against big money out there now. So there's a lot of investment money in these products, whereas back then it was just us.
Yeah.
We could barely tell anybody what we did, for a living.
Yeah, and that's really important because you really couldn't tell people you were literally an outlaw. I mean, in essence, an outlaw, not from the law, but you couldn't necessarily talk about openly and freely about what you were working on. So, that's super interesting, Johnny. Why don't you, like, when you first started, what did the wholesale trade like? 'Cause the wholesale trade was pretty important back then. The wholesalers played a much more important role. I guess it was really important to establish the relationships with them.
The distributors?
Yeah, the wholesalers. Yeah.
Yeah, the distributors.
Yeah.
Those guys to me are the key to it all, because they have big catalogs, and there's like over 20,000 smoke shops, plus who knows how many online, and now you see smoke shops just popping up in gas stations, and it's really a lot bigger now. But I believe the distributors are they do a lot. They do a lot.
Yeah, you're right. So all these little shops are popping up everywhere in all the townships, right? So in our town, I think we have like the third one now. So it just popped up, and in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, so did you wholesale? From my perspective, John, my perspective is it seemed like wholesalers played a really important role, and then there was this kind of reconciliation in the industry where all the companies decided they were better served serving the client directly, And so I guess what I'm hearing from you now is that, you know, they still play a pretty important role in the mix.
To me, they do. I mean, if you've got, you know, big money to work with, then yeah, you know, doing direct sales to the shops. But you know, you need people. It's something that I've chose not to do. I don't really sell to shops. I just sell to a group of distributors, and that works out good for me. Yeah, you can make more selling direct to the shops, but then there's a whole lot more that goes into that.
So any
But yeah,
products
I mean,
that you sell now direct to consumer, just you'll sell it on the site and then it goes to the distributor for fulfillment.
no, I fulfill all web orders
Okay,
myself. Well, not
gotcha,
myself, but we fulfill that in house.
gotcha.
And then all the catalog sales and most of the sales to shops all go through distributors. And some distributors sell to other distributors. So there's it's kind of hard to know where your product came from, so to speak, or how it got there.
So what is your product line like? How do
Well, actually, let's ask him what came next in the product line. So, because you know Johnny didn't, he's not a one-stop shop. So,
not overnight.
so how long did you ride with the Hitter One Digger before you launched your next product?
The Digger one hitter was like I think 2009, and then No Goo came. I don't know, like 4 or 5 years after that. I was living in San Diego, growing for some dispensaries, and we made a ashtray out of silicone, and it was called the Smash Tray. So you could smash your glass pipe on it, and it wouldn't break. And we laid our dab tools on it, and noticed that it didn't stick to the silicone. So that's what gave me the idea to make the silicone no goo jars, which was our first no goo product, and that was a grand slam. And just kept adding more silicone products to the line, and we had, you know, we ended up with like, you know, 20, 30 products.
Yeah.
Then I do a lot of custom silicone stuff still.
So yeah,
That's
so
huge.
yeah, so come back on the big shot. You can see here. These are some of the pieces that Johnny made for Cough Country. We've got the alien one, and we've got the one that matches, you know, our trademark symbol. But these are ones that we actually ran through Johnny's custom program, and you know what I find interesting about this, Johnny, and I think you know, I don't want to glance over it, and I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to say that you're the first one to do this, right, with the silicone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The silicone jar, yes.
the silicone jar, and so do you know, like, you see how many copies of these and how many Chinese versions of these,
Millions.
but and
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
it's crazy.
and it's not only is it crazy, but it's completely unfair. So why don't you, I guess, describe to us a little bit what it was like to come up with a product like this that works so well, and then to have people steal this from you. Like, 'cause I remember walking the show floor with you, and you're going, Jesus Christ, these motherfuckers are stealing my ideas.
Oh yeah, it's been a problem since day one. You know, and even if you have a patent, it's still a pain in the ass. You know, I used to get real mad about it. I mean, I used to get in fights over it. I'd go to the shows and just have some serious hardcore discussions with some, you know, foreign vendors that, you know, and I've come to learn that a lot of times people don't even know something's patented. So, you know, I kind of give people the benefit of the doubt a little bit now, whereas before I didn't. I just would go nuts. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass because it's like stabbing you right in the gut.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
when you see that happen,
Yeah.
I mean, they've even got me as far as my packaging that I use and my logos, and it's unbelievable.
And what kind of recourse do you have when China and folks like that do this?
It's I've gotten a lot better at controlling it now. I patent stuff both in China and here. I still don't think it's worth the money to go through all that because it still happens. And you know, one of my early patent attorneys told me a patent is a shield, not a sword. So to use the sword is expensive.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
And I'm
and
sure
that,
to fight an
so what I've
intellectual property case in China is probably not cheap.
no, it's ridiculous, and it's just, to me, it's not worth it. I'd rather just come up with a cool brand and just add more products to that brand. Um, that seems that that's why Nogu worked out so well, is because it wasn't just that one jar. Because 6 months into it, the knockoff started coming,
Yep.
but I had 8 more products to release 6 months into it, so I kind of planned for it a little bit, and it worked, but it's a shitty issue.
He brings up a good point, Todd, Father, because one of the things, like, Elon Musk with SpaceX, for example,
Right.
the Chinese are copying him constantly. And so the way to beat that is, like, we talk about what recourse he might have or not have, but the way to beat it is to innovate. And so what he did is he continued to crank out new products to reset the standard. And where's No Good today? Because I know you've been doing this for 10 years now, probably, with No Good. So
Yeah, I
where's
mean, Nogu's still going. We're still selling to distributors, and it's nothing like the silicone jar craze used to be.
right?
But I still do a lot of like custom stuff. Dab mats, custom jars, bongs, pipes,
Mm-hmm.
whatever anybody wants, I can get made.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple years after that, I was in Hawaii at my buddy's house, and he had a turtle as like a pet, and I put a glass pipe next to the turtle's mouth, and it just, I don't know, I got like I just got zoned in on that for some reason, and that gave me the idea to do the Puff Pals dog toys. So that's how the latest brands come about.
So we've
And
we've
I always wanted a dog too,
and you got
and
the dog,
but my wife wouldn't let me get a dog.
but
Now I got him.
now
Yeah,
you got him.
but I had to start a fucking dog toy company to get it.
So as you started your business and selling your products and everything, so as you say, and you got to stay ahead of the game now. So is it a busier time for you? What's it like now versus earlier in the day?
Um, it's different because I have good customers, so it's easier than when I started. I know who to go to, and uh, manufacturing and distribution. That's what I got my degree in. I mean, Phil knows
Okay.
I have a logistics degree, and that's his background too. So we're from the logistics world,
That's how
so
we
that
cross
really
paths.
helps.
So you logistic guys are pretty
Yeah,
smart, huh?
I don't know. I mean,
You
man,
know
we
where
had
to
some
go.
fun in that
We're
business.
we're scrappers, Johnny. That's all. We scrap.
You know where to
Yeah,
go.
totally,
Yeah. And you
totally.
you have you have to
Um,
be you have to be a scrapper in that business for sure, 100%. And that's how Johnny and I met. So before you tell us all about Puff Pals, and I love Puff Pals, and Z Bud loves Puff Pals because she runs around the studio. She runs around with her joint in her mouth, so she's always that's her fave, that small one. Um,
the
but you
pictures,
also
man, the pictures are the best.
started a some tools and some accessories. You want to tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, like after Nogu, it's kind of when dabbing really kind of just started getting going, so to speak. Um, so that's back when like titanium nails, and we were dabbing off titanium. There really wasn't any quartz back then. And I had some real good contacts for titanium products, so I was importing just massive amounts and selling them to these distributors, and that was a real big program. And then stuff like quartz came into the scene, and so I have access to get all this stuff, so I tried to just keep adding to it and adding to it, and then we put a brand on it and packaged it under the Earl Gear brand,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that was good. Now I kind of just do custom stuff and like large bulk orders of quartz.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, just kind of I kind of try to make it easier on myself because it's really just me and then my warehouse guys.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah. So I mean, you have to keep it manageable for sure. So so that brings us to Puff Pals. You started that what, maybe 2 years ago? Three, two?
yeah, it's been 2 years now.
And
Yeah, 2 years.
and how's it going? Tell us how it's going.
It's going pretty good. I kind of it was a way to kind of cross over into different markets than
Crossover.
just smoke shops. Uh, it's kind of acceptable now, and so I've had some luck with the pet stores. I'm still looking to get some of the big distributors. We were
Hmm.
close with Chewy, but then they got all non 420 on us, and
Yeah.
didn't want to pick it up.
They got a little bit politically correct and checked themselves, huh? Well, listen,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love this, Johnny, because you know one of the things that you know that I believe in is this whole crossover world, and so what we try to do at Cough Country TV is create programming that not just centers around cannabis, but delivers it in a way that's more of a mainstream type of way, and so you know, understanding that crossover in my world, you know, I think it's genius what you did with Puff Pals because, you know, while you stayed true to your roots, you opened the door for, yeah, you opened the door for you to be able to cross over into other mainstream businesses. And so I think that's cool. And I think you really do need to grind that out because not only are you selling product, but you're really helping break down the barriers that we've been put in with this whole cannabis thing. So I definitely commend you for what you do. I think the creativity on the products is frankly really cool. I mean, there's bongs and
Thank
there's
you.
bowls and there's pipes and that kind of stuff. And you know, it's just great. It's fantastic. It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
silicone is
that's
necessary.
been like a well, that stuff's made of natural rubber, not silicone.
Yeah.
The no-goo stuff is all made from medical grade silicone, kind of like the same material that IVs, the tubes, are made of.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
baby baby bottle nipples are made of medical grade silicone. It's good quality stuff though.
Great.
So, yeah, so I really I wish you guys as much luck as possible continuing to break through those barriers and you know I'll do whatever I can to help you, my brother. You know that. So let's talk a bit about what's going on in today's industry. You know, there's been a huge proliferation of the CBDA hemp products in the market. What's your whole take? Because we've had some politicians in here, we've had all kinds of different people. We ask them all, and you know, everyone seems to say it's here to stay, but yet, you know, we seem to all have a preference towards the real deal. So, what's your whole take on it?
Uh, it's a little confusing to me too. I purposely tried to educate myself at the last couple of trade shows because some of this stuff, I mean, it looks beautiful. The flowers beautiful, and
Yep.
uh, they say the only difference is THCA needs to be heated in order to turn into THC. So to me, it doesn't seem like it's much different, really. I know there's a lot of fuckery going on with what actually is in those jars. Uh, it seems like there's that's an outlet to move a lot of product. Um, but it's big, man. At these shows, there's just tons of it. The last 3 years is really when it all came up. D8, the HHC, the THCA. Um, I don't know. I'm really not in that market. I'm in I'm more on the real weed market.
Well, listen, we're on the real weed side of it too, but like you, when you go to a show, you can't ignore that 70% of the show is now represented and paid for by companies that are in this particular space, and so it to me, I think it presents a real obstacle for the legalization of cannabis because it presents an obstacle for those who have gone through the legal process to get a dispensary, and the costs and the licensing and the bureaucracy and the all of the shit that these folks have to go through. So I find it a little bit it's troubling to see that that those folks have to go through one method of being able to legally and be in business, and then just take any smoke shop, and they've got some good looking flower
gas
in there.
stations even,
and fucking gas
Everywhere.
stations.
Everywhere. It's kind of
I mean it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like
we don't
bars
like
getting upset with the pop-up bars. You have to pay for your license when you have a bar and all of that, and then all of a sudden somebody right down the street can have a pop-up with next to with minimum fees. So it's tough to compete.
I don't sell any of that. I have a smoke shop back east. My brother runs it, and we're in a fully legal rec state in Maine, and we just choose not to carry it in our smoke shop because there's so many real dispensaries and got some real good product back there too.
Well, Maine is the second home state for Cough Country, as you well know. Awesome bud, awesome people up there, and they've got great products up there. But I mean, at the same time, Jonny, like, he's a purist. He made the decision not to have that in his smoke shop. But I can tell you, most people didn't make that decision like he did. Most of them made the decision to take it and take the money that can come from it. And so, everybody now is flocking towards going to the most easiest place, like he said, the gas station, to go pick up, edibles, to pick up pre-rolls, to pick up, frankly, sacks. So I think it's pretty interesting. Go ahead.
I think the consumer doesn't understand it, which is the most important thing. And I think a lot of people see it and they think it's real, regular, medical cannabis or recreational cannabis, and I think it is to some degree. I just honestly, I've never tried it. I just really don't have a desire because I don't know why, but I'm a grower.
I get you.
So
No, he's a fucking purist, and to a purist, this is not pure. I understand that. So Todd and I, we were at the One Champ show over the summer in AC, and we got some pre-rolls, and we had pre-rolls on both sides, on some regular and some of the ones we got at the show. And listen, if I didn't have anything and that was all I had, I mean, I'd
be smoking it.
I'd be smoking it. But when you have them side by side, it's not as good.
No-go.
It's a no-go.
It's definitely. I'm a purist like you. We noticed we late night green tested it, and what we found was it didn't have the that we was looking for. So we quickly pulled out the real.
Maybe I should
some clouds up.
Maybe I should just give it a good honest try, because I just haven't. I don't know, but I see a lot of it. It's definitely selling.
And
it's just not up my cup of tea.
All right, well here's I have an idea, Jonny. I have an idea. So this is my idea. So my idea is, we'll wait a couple of weeks. We'll wait till after the holiday, and we'll get ourselves some CBD pre-rolls and the THCA pre-rolls, and we'll have you back on. You'll get some too, and we'll have a sesh here, and we'll figure it out. We'll see if we can.
See how we feel.
We'll see how we feel, how it tastes.
I'm up for the challenge.
There we go. It's an experiment. An experiment it is. So one of the things we were chatting on before you got on is some of the stories. I want to know some of these stories that have happened. Man. So I will start off by sharing one because I was with you when this happened. And so it's okay. Don't worry. It's censored. So Jonny, I don't know. We were at one of these trade shows. I think it was Champs. I think it was Vegas. It was, all the activity after the show happens at night. All the dinners, all the parties, all that stuff. So Jonny invited me to a dinner, and we're sitting at dinner, and I don't know anybody there. I know Jonny. That's it. And we're sitting there, and I watched two people at the dinner working out a deal to sell their publication, and they were writing the information on a napkin. And that was like the moment for me where I was like, wait a second. These guys are doing shit that they did years and years before we were ever born, like doing business like really like old school way. They made an agreement over dinner. They wrote it on a fucking napkin, and I'm assuming that it got executed. And, you know, one of the things, Johnny, is like that was, I don't know if you remember that dinner or not, but that was the one that kind of caught my attention in terms of like, listen, this is an industry that's literally forming right in front of my face, and I'm watching this shit happen. And, you know, that's where I think, I made some level of a decision at that point that I wanted to be a part of it as well. And so, give me some. You remember that dinner?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where it was, but
Man.
Yeah, I mean, business is done that way. It's, people do business with people, and I kind of think being at these shows is where you meet a lot of the people, and if you're fun to do business with, people want to do business with you, and that's kind of my philosophy behind it. I mean, it's no different than any other business, I don't think. I mean, you make relationships, and
that's right.
You got to do good business. If you do shitty business, they won't work with you.
That's true.
So you still got to do everything on the up and up, and deliver what you say, and don't lie, and just don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah. So share with us some. There's a couple. Any couple stories come to your mind that you want to share with the audience? I just think there's so many great things that have happened. Yeah. Give me a few or one or two.
The very first week that I started with the Digger, we were launching it in Amsterdam at the Cannabis Cup, and I had I think I had 4,000 of them shipped directly from the factory to Amsterdam. So they never came to the United States. They delivered to me when I got there. So we did the show, and I think I had like 1,000 of them left. And so I'm like, I'll take them home and sell them, because I was getting some orders in Amsterdam. So I'm like, yeah, I got some inventory. So I pack them in my suitcase, just not thinking anything, and we land in Philadelphia, in your town, and that's where I went through customs before my flight to Phoenix.
Ruh-roh.
So I go through customs, and I'll never forget it. The guy's name was Markowitz, and he opens up my bag, and there's 1,000 of these one-hitters, and the guy's like, "Holy shit! What?" He's like, "What is going on here?" FBI, open up! I was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "They're all clean. They're metal cigarettes." He's like, "Oh, no. This is international importing of paraphernalia and all this bullshit." And then it must have come from my booth, but there was one digger in there was used. And it had some ash in it.
Oh.
And when the guy found that, he fucking lost it, and he scraped it out, and he was gonna weigh it, and I just happened to have to sneeze at that exact moment, and blew it all, blew it away, and he lost it. Yeah, he was pissed, and the guys behind him, the other officers were laughing. So that was kind of a nightmare my very first week in the business, and then they ended up confiscating everything, and there was some legal stuff, and a week later I get a call from the guys at High Times magazine. They're like, "Johnny, did you see the article about you?" I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, it was in they're like, "Yeah, it was in the Philadelphia newspaper," and it was shit. The title of it was like, "Cannabis Cup Judge has too much fun in Amsterdam, arrested with 1,000 plus pieces of paraphernalia." It
went viral.
Wow.
International.
Yeah, that was That was my very first week.
But listen, getting a news story in High Times about your infraction, if you want to call it as such. I mean, it probably helped business a little bit, right?
Well, it wasn't in High Times. It was in the Philadelphia newspaper.
Oh, you just
but
got to
they
call.
did mention
Oh,
it.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, listen, they
But
always
yeah,
say that any press is good press, right? Any press is good press.
Totally.
Look, that's street creds right there, baby.
That's right. Street cred.
But yeah, there's been a million crazy incidents. Like I remember the first Denver High Times Cup. It was when they first legalized it. The first year they had it in the United States, and it was the first year that we launched Nogu. We were killing it, and we went back to the hotel, and there was a snowstorm, and our fire alarm got set off somehow, and at 2 a.m, the whole fucking hotel was evacuated, and we got called down to the principal's office. It was pretty wild, but
Listen,
nothing bad happened. So that was.
I know you and I had some benders. There was this one time where I don't know what town we were in, but I got to be careful what I say on here, man, so I don't fucking. You know what, Johnny? Let's just fuck that. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I understand how this shit works.
All right.
I understand how this shit works. So I think what I want to talk about now a little bit is, listen, you've been through it all. You're still doing it. The industry has changed tremendously. What kind of advice, if there's someone watching our show now that is wanting to get in this space as an entrepreneur, what type of advice could you give he or she, with what you know now and with the current state of the marketplace?
I think, personally, I've been kind of gearing myself towards making products for other brands, as well as my own brands. But like I've made a few products for some big name companies, and to me that's a good thing, because teaming up with some guys that are a lot bigger than you, stuff like that helps. If you're a one-man show, it's very expensive. It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of time, depending on where you manufacture and what your idea is. I mean, it's very tough.
It's saturated.
I've been super lucky.
And things are very saturated right now. So you almost need to innovate to break through in a way.
Yeah, and a lot of the innovation, that you've seen has gone from, glass, which has really had a real tough downfall the last few years, just because, like we were saying, the proliferation of, China glass, all these little shops that just carry China products.
Yeah.
American glass was a big deal, and that's really lost a lot of steam, I think, since legalization. Then you've seen products come along like a lot of electronic devices, like the dab rigs that are electric, the Puffcos, the Cartas. People aren't buying glass rigs when they're buying, one of those. And, that's what seems to be the go-to now, as far as compared to the big heady pieces.
So things are more electronic, right? More gadgety type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they just buy vape cartridges, so they just need a battery, really.
Yeah.
Before you'd buy flour, you'd want a pipe, you'd want a bong, you maybe rolling papers, but even joints now are all pre-rolled. So who's it's really changed.
Yeah, we still
OGs.
Yeah,
rolling our own.
Yeah, we rolling our own. I mean, the only time I roll, if I buy a pre-roll, it's in some other town because I don't really want to. I need to smoke immediately. Right. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I'm twisting my own for sure.
It's part of the art, man. Shit,
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
And I don't smoke blunts.
Oh yeah, see, that's a whole nother topic. We're going to talk about that on another segment. But
you don't smoke blunts,
man. I don't prefer blunts. Now, listen, I'll smoke some blunts. Guys light them up, but I
I'll
don't
smoke
prefer
them
them.
too. I don't
You
prefer
know,
it
I don't
over.
prefer them, and there's a lot of different reasons why. But as we know, things are generational. I'm a triple OG, and
I quit smoking cigarettes 20 something years ago. So I don't want to touch tobacco,
I hear you.
even though I'm still addicted to nicotine. That's the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And how do you get the nicotine now?
No, like I use these little pouch things,
Ah, the
or
pouch. Yeah, the pouch
you
things.
know, or I got the e-cigs too. You know,
Okay.
Gotcha.
that's what
Yeah.
my smoke shop. It's become a huge vape shop. Not by our just
Choice.
kind of by chance it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, I mean, listen, you're going to sell what you're going to sell what the people want, right? But yeah, you're right. Things have definitely changed, and if you want to get in this industry, I think you have to innovate. I think you have to do something that hasn't been done. If you're going to come in and you're going to, you know,
A lot of competition.
yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't think you can come in and do the same thing everybody else is doing. And listen, I don't
no,
know what
and
your thought. I don't know what your thoughts about this are, John. But there's I've not only has there been a wave and continuing waves of big investment dollars coming into the cannabis space, but I think the big wave's yet to come. I think that's the way to say it. There's a whole lot of more of that to come as regulations loosen. Especially, I mean, I think a simple reclassification, if this goes reclass, that will drive a lot of investment dollars into the space. What are your thoughts?
I think that's going to be a huge change because then interstate commerce will be legal.
Yep.
So I I foresee kind of like you hear a lot about how Humboldt area, California, is struggling, and the price of weed is so cheap now, and it's really, it's this whole legalization thing's really changed the whole scene, and but I think that'll be good for like craft growers when they can ship their bomb ass product that only they grow. Uh, but then you're going to have to do marketing, and you're
Yep.
still going to have to be a real business.
Yep.
But I think that is something that's good for them down the road with if they do federally decriminalize or legalize it.
I think it's good
But
for.
man, it's tough for the.
I think it's good for some of them, John, because some of these manufacturers, and again, they continue to issue new manufacturing license in states, and then these states offer these manufacturers a captive marketplace, and so, there's only so many choices of these manufacturing facilities in a state, and so they end up with their fair share of the business. When interstate commerce kicks in, you're going to have to survive on your grow, the quality, your pricing, your service, all these things that you have to compete in normal business on. You're going to be thrusted into that position. And while some of these guys I think are prepared to do that because they got their shit together, I think there's others that don't.
Oh, being in the legal weed game is very expensive. I don't know if you ever came out to my place out here. We had, but when we had Green Gene Genetics, that was a huge grow. And when we started it, we were crushing it, and the wholesale price was high. And then 2-3 years later, the big companies come in, they put up some real big grows, and you're kind of competing against the guys that you used to be selling to,
Right.
because they grow their own.
So you're
So
almost stuck in like a commodity type of situation where there's really no index or anything that's ruling it or managing that, really. So you're at the subject of massive swings in pricing and changes in the marketplace.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the wholesale price when we sold out was, I mean, like probably half of what it was when we first started. So it had fallen that much, and it's really tough. These places are very capital intensive. I mean, we had 60 people working there. It was 60,000 square foot grow.
So you were a partner.
You really had to.
I remember your days doing this. You were a partner in the project.
Yeah. Yep.
And so And you were and were you captive to just selling within the state, or I guess you were, right? You had a yeah, okay.
Yep, and everything had to be tested before you could sell it. So you had to grow clean,
Yep.
and it's and our quality. We were doing a great job, but it's not like it's no one else can do it. It's not. It's growing.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah.
And you do it right, it comes out good. You do it wrong, it doesn't come out good.
But just
So
because
a lot of people know how to do it right now.
But just because you do it right doesn't mean you get financially rewarded either.
No. You got to do it right just to even get it on the shelf.
That's right. And so I remember your days doing this, and I remember talking to you about it, and I remember the wild swings that you would go through where, it was in the beginning it was popping, and then like your prices were dropping out, and I remember you going, this is crazy. Like this is just like the prices are just dropping out. So I hear you. I hear you, brother.
So but
sure
we got out of that.
Say again?
Yeah, I was glad to get out of that and be done with that. Now I'm working with kind of doing some consulting for a dispensary back east, and this guy's jamming, and it's a retail location, doing very well, and just kind of I'm helping him on some projects because that's where I'm originally from, so I wanted to kind of have an excuse to do business back there and see my family a little bit more, and just kind of get into that angle of things, open up some new shops, and that's where my smoke shop is, and so it'd be nice to get back there a little bit more.
And Cough Country North is up in that area too, so we'll have to make sure we cross paths up in the Maine area. We haven't done that yet, but we will.
Yeah.
We went to every other goddamn state together, but we haven't been there together yet. So we'll have to make that, we'll have to make that happen. So
I was just there last month.
Yeah, to check on the shop and to visit family.
Yeah, check on the shop, visit folks, and kind of work with this dispensary a little bit. Just kind of. Just sort of started working with them.
Nice.
Yeah, just keeping busy. We got some trade shows coming up next month in Vegas, MJ Biz, so that'll be big. And we're at 2 booths at that show, so that'll be hopefully a
nice.
good event for us.
Nice. Well, we'll be out there to see you soon, man. So what final words do you have, man? We appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. I mean, I find it fascinating for those. I mean, there's people in the industry today that have some pretty cool stories, but the coolest stories are the ones where you guys were doing it when it wasn't popular. I think when you're one of those kind of guys where you're a part of something before it becomes popular. Trailblazer. That's a whole nother story. And so one of the things that you said to me, John,
sure didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Respect.
But see, and here's the other thing.
Thank you.
Johnny's modest in a way because people will come up to him at a show and they'll know who he is and they know he's an OG and they want to give him some credit. And sometimes Johnny doesn't know what to do with that. If I may say so myself.
Nah.
Part of his success, right?
It's weird. I don't know. I'm a fucking pothead. It's like anybody can do this. It's if you work hard. I don't know. I really don't. But I've been real lucky. I think met some great people. I've had a blast, and it's like 16, 17 years now.
Yeah.
So I've been able to do it this long.
You're not just a pothead. You're a very smart pothead.
But I guess I don't know.
But here's the deal, man. When people want to, when they want to pay some respect to you, let them do it, man. Because here's the thing, while you say I'm just a pothead, and he's just kind of like laughing about it because it's kind of funny, but you're far more than that. And let these young guys know, man. Like this is part of why I wanted you to be on the show. I think you can provide people inspiration. There's a way forward, and there's not, it's not always the easiest way forward. But if you believe in something and you work towards it, you can get somewhere. And that's even evident by the fact that you're getting these type of consulting jobs right now, John. Like, this is experience that people want to buy and pay for. And so, I think it's awesome what you do. I think your road that you've traveled is not only a difficult one, but I think it's one that you come out the other side with some fucking character and the ability to write a book. And I think you're in those
yeah,
categories.
Man, you gotta, like, I tell people, like, you gotta enjoy getting punched in the face.
Yep. It's like sales, right? You got to take no and punch in the face and kick down, and then you have to get up, smile, and do it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen.
You gotta like the beatings.
Amen. Amen.
But yeah, man, it's been great. It's been really, I never ever thought that I'd be doing this. In college, I never thought I'd be doing this, and it turns out that I'm using my degree for exactly my business. So it's been really weird.
Full circle.
Yeah, that's kind of a good term for it.
Yeah, and not everybody can say that either. So there's plenty of people with degrees and they can't use their degree for shit, or they've gone a different direction if they could use it for shit. So, well, man, listen, Johnny, I appreciate you being on the show. I enjoyed the shit out of it. You're always welcome to come on. We're not doing a late night show tonight, but if we were, you're invited, and we're going to have you on again. We clearly are going to do something where we're going to do some taste testing on this CBDA shit or a THCA, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, and we'll be discussing.
I'll throw my hat in that ring.
Yeah. Hey, just before we go, Johnny, did you know that Todd here is a Cowboys fan?
I think I saw that on your last show.
Yeah. Here we go. Well, you just said you got to learn how to take it in the face.
And that's what you've been doing lately, brother. All right, Johnny. Listen, thanks. You feel free to just hang out for a second. We're gonna wrap shit up. Listen.
Right
did you learn something, brother? You're welcome. Did you learn something, Todd?
Yes, and Jonny B is an amazing guy, a trailblazer, and very important part of history of the cannabis movement.
I think so, man. Because there's if you go back to the group of OGs is not all that big. They all know each other, so I think it's fucking great.
Yeah,
it's like what?
The shows we all get together at the shows, and it's kind of fun to there's a small group of us that have been around for like a long time.
Yeah. And
it's really a neat funny group. But yeah, man, it's like every year there's less and less people that we know because they're fading out.
Yeah.
It's fun. I want to keep
Go ahead, ask him.
One last question, and Phil likes to talk about this a lot. To you, what's your idea of a lid? What does a lid mean to you?
What's a lid?
Lid? Jesus, that's even before me.
Well, it's before. It's definitely before all of us.
Shit.
So a lid is the way I describe it is it's an imperfect unit of measurement that's supposed to represent something close to a Z.
You know what? I like your definition of that.
That's what it was?
You know what it is? We should rename it a joint. Give me a joint.
That's a Philly.
Anything and everything.
That's a Philly thing.
Give me
a
joint. That's a new name for
Nobody knows that. It's a fucking Philly thing. All right, guys. Well, listen, man. If you guys haven't subscribed to Late Night Green, make sure you subscribe to Late Night Green. Hit the bell. Tell a friend. I think we're going to be back on Thursday. I don't know all the details, but stay tuned. We'll drop out the details. But man, I had a good time. What's the last thing you want to say, Todd? You always get the last word.
Oh man, look, the word is we're looking forward to seeing you, Jonny B,
in person,
and add some more stories.
Come out to a show.
We will. We will.
Man. and it was funny is like every trip or every event, we make more stories. It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah,
Don't write that book yet.
It
till we
does.
get there.
There's so many fucking fun stories, and the characters. Like I haven't met all the ones Johnny knows, but I met a handful of them, and I'm telling you, some of these dudes are a piece of work, man. Piece of work. I love hanging out with these guys.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, love you, brother. Guys, stay tuned for more.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Late Night Green. We'll be back soon, and thanks for joining us. Peace.